Hello everybody, Bruce Elgord here for CTEC 122, which is HTML Fundamentals for the fall 2021 quarter. The purpose of this video is to give you an introduction and overview to the course. So let's get started. In this course, you will be learning how to develop web pages, primarily using HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets, that you're going to use to build mobile responsible web pages and web pages that are accessible to everybody. Here's a little bit about me. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I've been a Clark almost 10 years now. Prior to joining Clark, I worked for my own startup company where we made a cloud product that is very similar to Facebook, believe it or not, and it was called IdeaJam. I've done some work for Microsoft's lynda.com organization. Prior to that, I spent a great portion of my career working at Underwriters Laboratories and Sharp Electronics, and I'm recognized by IBM as what they call an IBM champion, by Amazon Web Services as being a faculty cloud ambassador, and I also hold over 15 Microsoft certifications. So that's just a little bit about me. Well, here's some more about me. That's the first picture on the left is my wife and myself and a friend of mine who happens to be the guitar player for the Alice Cooper Band. Tommy Henriksen and I went to, we used to play in a band together back in high school. And in the middle, top middle, that's Johnny Depp and Tommy. They play in another band, which you may have heard of, called the Hollywood Vampires. And the center lower picture is Alice Cooper and my daughter and my niece and myself. And on the right, the drummer of the Alice Cooper Band let me bang on his drums. So it's kind of cool. But let's just say that, I'm a drum. Well, I didn't say it, but I play drums. And when I was younger, I really wanted to be like Tommy and be a famous rock musician. But that didn't happen. I wound up going to college in Hoboken, New Jersey at a university called the Stevens Institute of Technology, where I received my Bachelor of Engineering degree in electrical engineering. And that's the school in the lower half of the photograph, and that's the Manhattan, New York City skyline, in the top portion. So here's some more of me. That's back when I had hair, back in the mid-'80s. I was really into computers back then. That's the IBM XT, I believe. And I was working for Underwriters Laboratories at that time. And on the left there, you can see I actually was a teacher back then. And I was teaching Underwriters Laboratories employees all about this new thing called the personal computer. And I was fortunate enough to have UL pay for my graduate school studies at what's now known as New York University's Polytechnic Institute, where I received a Master of Science in Engineering Management. So here's the entire list, I think, of all the courses that I've taught at Clark College over the past almost 10 years. You are enrolled in the third one called HTML Fundamentals, so hopefully I'll get to see you in some of these other courses one day, and I really enjoy teaching each and every one of them. So yeah. By the way, this class that you are in is an online-only class. You don't meet during the week during a specified time. Again, no class meetings. You can get extra help via our tutors, and you'll read more about that in Canvas. And you can get extra help with me via Zoom, where we can share our screens with one another, and I'll show you a link to how to do that in Canvas, or at least how to schedule time with me. All right, here is the textbook for this course. We've been using it the last couple of years. Students have really liked it. And it's called Murex HTML5 and CSS3 4th edition. It's available at the Clark College bookstore, and you could also buy it at other places. So there's a couple tools which you will be using in this course, and what I mean by tools are software applications, and these are going to be the applications that allow you to craft and code HTML and CSS documents or files. We're going to be using a free application called Microsoft Visual Studio Code. And all of my classes at Clark, all the ones you saw on the prior slide, or prior 2 slides ago, you use Visual Studio Code. Then we're going to be using something called an FTP client for file transfer protocol. We're going to be using you have 2 options. One is you can use WinSCP, which stands for Windows Secure Copy, and the other is a protocol FileZilla. For you students using Windows, I recommend that you use WinSCP. For those of you using Mac computers, you can use FileZilla. All right? And FileZilla also does run on PCs, but I'll leave that choice up to you. The 2 applications do the same thing. Maybe you try them both. See what you think of them. The other tool that you're going to be using is something called the W3C validation services. And these are tools that are available online that are going to help you make sure what you coded is what we call valid. The fact that this thing called HTML, hypertext markup language, has a set of rules that a bunch of people have agreed upon, the way that your pages should be coded. And the same for cascading style sheets. So those are going to help you make sure that the work that you do in this class is correct. It's not going to, tell you that your web page looks visually appealing and great and the colors are perfect and this and that. It's not going to do that. It's just going to make sure the structure of your files, the content of your files, the HTML and CSS is valid and meets the rules defined by what we call the W3C. More on that in the class and in Canvas. So this class has a lot of different, we'll call them assignment categories. The first thing that you're going to need to do is fill out a short Google form, and I call it your codography. And it should only take you a couple of minutes to fill out. It helps you, it helps me learn more about you and gives you an opportunity to ask me some questions that you may have. The next thing that you're going to do is, actually it's the third thing on the page here, called Student Introductions on Slack. This class allows you to use a real-time chat application called Slack. A lot of you may use Discord. It's very similar. We've been using it. I've been using it in this class or all of my classes for, maybe 7 years. And it's really worked out great. And it keeps you connected with me. You connected with others in the class. And yeah. The next thing is a practice web page assignment. And that's going to make sure that the tools that I discussed in the prior slide are set up correctly and working correctly. And actually, that's the 4th item down, web development workflow setup. The practice page is going to actually have you code a page following my instructions to make sure that everything is good. And then you're going to have weekly, maybe one, maybe two a week, what we call web page assignments, where you're going to be coding and developing HTML web pages using HTML, CSS, images, and things like that. And that's I haven't spoken the percentages, but that's 54% of your grade, and you can see on the screen the other items and what their weights are. Written quizzes are worth 20%. You get one a week, and the really different thing that I do with my quizzes is they're not timed. You open the quiz up, you access the questions as you can throughout the week, however you decide to attack this class, and when you're all done, and only when you're all done, do you submit the quiz. And then you're going to have a final project where you're going to develop a multi-page responsive website. And then I have these things called exit slips, which allow you to rate your experience after each module in the course. And they should only take you 30 seconds to fill out. And if you want to provide additional textual information, not required, you'll have the opportunity to do so. But I also encourage you to reach out to me on Slack, all right? Because that's where I can probably almost immediately answer your questions. All right, so again, I said earlier that Slack is a chat application for computers and mobile phones. I'm not going to go through the bullet points here, but there's information in Canvas about how to set it up on your phone, how to set it up on your laptop or your desktop computer or your tablet. And the bottom bullet, which says I monitor Slack constantly for your questions, yep, that I do. All right. So there are several channels that we have in Slack. One for announcements that come from me. We have a general channel where we can just talk about anything relating, to the course. There is a channel that we'll use week one to make some introductions, so you get used to using the application. There's a question specifically. There's a channel specifically for questions. Use that when you have a question. And then there's a random channel. I don't know. Share anything of interest that you think others in the class who are developing HTML web pages would want to see. So I'll do more about this in a future module, but you can share HTML and CSS code. You can react to others' posts, and we use something called threaded replies, kind of like you may have seen in, social applications where one person makes a comment and then a person replies to that comment, and visually on the screen you see what we call a threaded response hierarchy. That's the technical jargon. All right, so now I'm going to give you a quick tour of the Canvas shell, right, that we're going to be using for this course. So let me hop over to Canvas. So here we are. This is what your Canvas shell will look like. It's got this computer code that's at an angle for some reason. And I'm just going to go into the Canvas shell for this class. This is how I see it, just so you know. You're going to see it quite differently. I can go into what's called the student view, but I'm being lazy right now. And what I want you to know is that there's a couple things in the course navigation. I'm on the left-hand side here, and this one, schedule meeting with Bruce. So if you click on this, it's going to launch an application that I use where you can schedule a meeting with me. And it says schedule a 30-minute meeting. Hey, if you need 5 minutes, you got 5 minutes, but the default is a 30-minute time slot. And what you'll get to do at that point is select the day, right? I'll pick a day, and then the time that you want to meet with me, and I'll get a calendar invite in my email, and I'll either accept it or propose a different time, and then we'll work from there. We'll hop on Zoom, and I'll help you in any way I can. The next thing is over here on the, where are you? I guess that's it. Oh, here's the link to the Slack group, just so you know, here in the middle of the page on the left. And I'm going to go back home, which shows you the list of modules. And each module typically each module represents a week in the course. It says here recent announcements. There haven't been any announcements because I haven't opened this shell at the time I'm recording this to all of you. And what I want you to do in module 0 is read each one of these items. Okay, read each one of these items. They give you some super important information that you're going to need. You know, how to connect to Slack, Netiquette, how to communicate with me, resources and links, information about tutoring. And then there's actually an assignment, and it's that codography that I spoke of before. So if you click on this, it talks about the codography and when it's due and what you need to do. And then when I click on that link, it's going to bring you to, it says CTEC 121. It should be CTEC 122, just so you know. I'll get that fixed. And then you answer a series of questions. So that's that. Let's go back to modules. And then what happens, I'm going to go into module 1, is I've tried to break down the information here in such a way that it gives you a verb, right, as to what you need to do. You need to read something, read and watch something, etc. And do something, like do an assignment or a task. And then further down here, we have assignments. And I know, it looks like a lot, but it's not. This thing right here is a series of steps that you need to follow. But here is the introduction on Slack. There's a syllabus agreement, not a quiz, but an agreement that I ask you to submit. And then there's that quiz down there. And again, I take great care in breaking down the information for you into what I call units. So there's that. All right. So again, you have a pretty robust set of information for each week of the course, and all of these pages and things in Canvas. In order for you to progress to the next module, you have to make sure that you've done what it says here: view. Sometimes it'll say submit, etc. If you're new to Canvas, I think I have in here. Maybe not. If it's not here, I thought it was in module 0. Yeah, how to use Canvas. So if you're new to Clark, or you've come from another school where maybe they used a different, what we call LMS or learning management system, give this a view. All right. Well, give this a read and ask me questions. I'm here to help, and our tutors are also here to help. The other thing I wanted to point out is in the upper right here, you have the ability to search, right? You have the ability to search all of this published information. So I highly recommend that you use it, all right? So that's all I got for now. If you have any questions about this course, I think I didn't have any more shells. Oh, yeah, there's my robot friend that I used in my robotics class. But I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you are in need of any additional videos, I do have a lot that you'll be watching in this course that'll supplement your learning. And there's a topic that you feel needs more explanation that could benefit from having a video, just ask. No problem. I'll get it covered. Thanks again. I look forward to working with you in HTML fundamentals, and have a great quarter. Thanks again.